What's up, guys? It's Kyle Keenan. Keenan is key. I hope you guys are all having a great week. I'm here with Jill Babnew, and we are here to talk about the changing market here in real estate. So, Jill, on the seller side, what do you think is changing with the changing market compared to the market we just had, kind of?
So I think that not necessarily that we are seeing a bunch of homes become available. Like the inventory is about the same. I think with the raise of the interest rate, it's knocked out some of the people that were more on like that lower level.
Absolutely.
That just had buying power, no longer have that buying power.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that you are, as a buyer's perspective, buyers are cut down on competition a little,
Right.
more so reasonable there, but I think that sellers really need to prep themselves that this is a different market than it was, say, 90 days ago.
Right.
So I know for the listing appointments that I have been on in the last 2 months, I've been prepping my sellers to expect things like a home inspection.
Okay.
That are coming back into the play.
Okay. That's definitely huge. And what about the buyer's perspective? Now, for me personally, like we were just talking about, I'm still getting buyers that are definitely having a rough time finding a home, even though the market is changing. I know you and your team, you guys do a lot of, Upper Bucks County as well, like New Hope and stuff like that, as well as Lower Bucks County, and you do the Northeast as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think the market's changing the most in terms of that?
So I think that most things are going to start at the top. Like if you pull, so I have my search, so the search engine that we use as realtors is called Bright. So I have my Bright organized by school districts, and because I do the majority of my business in Bucks County, I have that organized by Bucks County School District. Mm-hmm. Now they are going to be on your higher price points of Bucks County, like your New Hope, Solebury, Council Rock, Pennsbury, Neshaminy, and I pull that information every day. Every day I see, starting from the top, price reductions.
Okay.
So I think that is where the market is starting to shift at the top, and then things are kind of trickling down. Now, I think a lot of this shift is probably more price point specific. I'm an investor that is looking around $250, and that's just a very affordable price range. So you're not going to, if you're shopping in that $200,000, $250 range, you're still going to be in a pool with a bunch of people that can afford that, even with the jump in interest rates, that you're not going to see this be so impactful as you would something that is, 600, 650, 700, because it's like those people were probably about 3 years ago 550, 550 price range, that with the lower interest rate we're able to afford more. Now with the interest rate going up, they can afford less. So you're going to see less competition around there.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And where do you think, say in a year, 2 years time, or however long, where do you think this market is going to go? Do you think it's going to keep going to the point where it really is a buyer's market and buyers are going to have a choice on houses? Where do you think this is going to end up, say 2-3 years?
I think for that to happen, there'd have to be more inventory available, because it's not so much like that's what we're dealing with, right? No matter what the interest rates do, we're dealing with a lack of inventory. 100%. So I can't foresee in the next year and a half, 2 years being this just strictly a buyer's market. I think it's going, we're trending towards a more balanced market. But keep in mind that like 2018, we had interest rates that were around 5%. I purchased my own house in 2018, and I think my interest rate was 4 3/4. So, and that's with me working in the industry, contacting every mortgage lender that I knew and said, this is the lowest, interest rate that I saw locked in for my client. Get me this or don't get me anything at all. So I think that, we're coming off of a record low of interest rates that these now look so high, but in reality is that they're really not that high historically.
100%.
We just came from a historic low. So I think in the next year and a half, the market is just going to adjust accordingly. So I don't think that you're going to see these huge drops in sales price. I don't think that anybody that purchased in the last year and a half is going to see a huge drop off in their equity. I mean, historically, homes, appreciate in value. You know, it's nothing like the bubble that happened 2008, 2009.
Right.
So I don't think that you're going to see a crash or a loss in equity. I just think that things are going to balance.
I'm glad you said that because
people don't understand.
People think, oh, I'm gonna wait, right? I'm gonna wait for the bubble to pop.
Yeah, I'm
like,
gonna wait
have
for the
fun
bubble
doing
to
that.
part. Yes.
Yeah,
a lot of clients that waited in the last year and a half and said, I'm going to wait, this is too much competition, I'm going to wait, are now ending up paying like $300 more a month because the interest rate is appreciated or is so much higher now. So it's like waiting does not really benefit you.
100%.
You can always change your interest rate. And I know that people don't like to hear that. Like, what do you mean you could always change your interest rate? You know, interest rates work like the stock market. They're different every single day. That you stay in contact with a lender, you know, a good reputable lender, a good reputable local lender is going to call you when there's a dip in interest rates and say, hey, now's the time to refinance. You can refinance any amount of time that you want after you purchase, really. So it's really, you know, are you going to not have this asset, continue to pay rent, pay 100% worth of interest?
Right.
Or are you going to have this asset, pay a little bit higher maybe than you anticipated in interest, and then have the opportunity to refi and hold on to your equity?
100%. That's a great point. That's a great point for sure. And I would definitely say with this market, like Jill said, like real estate appreciates every single year. So on top of them waiting 2 or 3 years ago, they said, I'm going to wait. Now real estate, I mean, what was on top of inflation and how much real estate has gone up? In some places, it's gone up like 20% in the past 2 to 3 years, like a crazy amount. And I think they predicted over the next 2 years, I think PAR predicted it or something like that. It's going to go up another 9%.
PAR is Pennsylvania Association of Realtors for people that don't know.
But I think they said 9% in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So, and that's about a normal.
That's huge. Yeah, that's pretty much like any stock that you invest on. In, right? Like anybody that heavily invests into things, like that's a pretty decent return. And it's like all the while you're spending money for something that you need anyway.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So great points, Jill. Thank you so much. It's Kyle Keenan. Keenan is key. Have a good one, guys. Thank you. That was a good video, Jill. Thank you so much. Let's go.